Since the day we did the LeChatelier's principle lab, I'm just going to demonstrate it for you on video, and then you can use this video to record data and write and answer the analysis questions. Okay. So in that lab, and you might want to follow along, the instructions are to place 3 drops of iron nitrate, which I'll show you, okay, in a beaker. So I've placed 3 drops in there. And you can see it's hard to even see. There's a little bit of orange fluid in there. And then you are supposed to take 3 drops of potassium thiocyanate, which is actually really hard to read on that piece of tape. And you are supposed to put those 3 drops on top of the 3 drops you already have. And when you do, you can see that it turns like a blood red color. Okay? The next directive is to take distilled water and add it to the beaker until you get a light orange color. So I'm going to do that for you real quick. There you go. Okay, and then the next thing is there are 5 test tubes labeled A through E. And what we're going to do is we're going to take this light orange solution and we're going to distribute it somewhat equally across the 5 test tubes. It does not have to be perfect. It's just that you want to be able to compare colors. So you want to have relatively equal amounts because it makes it easier to interpret. Okay. Test tube A is going to be our control. All right. And so I'll show you. Here's test tube A. You can see it's a nice orange color. All right. And what we're going to do is we're going to add some drops to different test tubes to see what happens. Okay. So I'm pretty sure test tube B, you're supposed to add 3 drops of iron nitrate. Okay, so I'm going to add 3 drops of, I added a little bit more because mine is pretty dark. I'm adding 3 drops of iron nitrate to that test tube. And the idea is that you're supposed to compare it to test tube A. So you can see that the 3 drops of iron nitrate is making that test tube significantly darker. In test tube C, I'm supposed to add 3 drops of potassium chloride, which I just did. And if I hold that up and compare it to test tube A, you can see that they're still the exact same color. All right, next, in test tube D, I'm supposed to add 3 drops of potassium thiocyanate. And I did, and you can tell again that it's definitely made a darker color. That test tube A is a light orange, test tube D is a darker red. And I need to grab one more dropper, so give me a second. I'm going to pause. So in the last test tube, E, you're supposed to add 3 drops of sodium hydroxide. So here's the sodium hydroxide. I'm going to add 3 drops. We'll give that a minute. And then I'm going to hold it up compared to this one. And hopefully you can see test tube A is still that orange color, but test tube E is now a lighter yellow color. Okay? All right, so that is all the data you need. I think actually right now, looking on the video, you have a pretty good view of them. Here's test tube A, here's test tube B, C, D, and E. Okay, and so you can use that information to the colors to fill out the description column of the data table. And then based on your notes related to equilibrium and LeChatelier's principle, you can decide which way the equilibrium system shifted to counteract the addition of the substances that we added to the test tubes.